Tim,
Yes.
what do you got?
So last week we did this crazy thing called Kind of Funny Live.
Oh, I remember this.
It happened. It's finally happened. We can say that it is done. And it was a goddamn good time.
It was fun.
So my topic today is I want to talk about it. I want to kind of recap it, what happened there, our experiences.
Good.
You know, what we think the future might look like. All of these things.
You want to have our postmortem about Kind of
Yeah,
Funny
let's do a
Live
little
right here.
post-mort. Let's let the people hear what our thoughts are. Because to be completely honest, we haven't. The four of us kind of sat and talked about it for.
No. You
Like,
guys
we just
didn't-
haven't at the time.
Yeah, you guys didn't come in yesterday.
Mm-mm.
Took a day off
Slept,
as needed.
hibernated.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And then we all reunited today and had to do a million other things.
Reunited
And it feels
so
When I saw
good.
Faith No More in 2010
Yeah.
on their first tour in forever, they opened with that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they all came out in suits. And Mike Patton had a cane. And he was
Really?
walking around like he was all like
Old as
hobbled.
shit.
And then they played from out of nowhere and he threw the fucking
he
cane.
pulled the
That's
Willy. He
fucking
pulled the
awesome.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You wanted it?
Pull it a Willy Wonka.
Kind of Funny Live was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We knew going in it was going to be more than what people were expecting it to be. I was excited to find out that it was when we talked to them about it. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it started days prior when you showed me the videos, the intro videos for the presidential debate, the intro video to the event, and stuff like that on your computer. And even that got me choked up. And the fact of like, holy shit, this is a real thing. This is like way bigger than even I was expecting it to be. So to get that, to unleash that on everybody and watch them and listen to their reactions, right? Like when we were hidden away for the intros, right, getting ready for the presidential debate, and hear their reaction and them count down and them do the Kind of Funny call and response thing, like it was awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like, I was smiling that entire night harder than I've smiled in my entire life. Like, every picture of me, I'm just grinning. And it's just like, that's how I felt the entire time.
Yeah.
And like, I got chills just constantly, like just goosebumps the whole night. I just felt
Right.
so jittery and antsy. And it's
I
like,
know.
there was never a point of being nervous. It was always just a point of just pure excitement and adrenaline and just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, it was just like a dream come true. And man, it just worked.
Yeah.
Everything about it worked. And that moment you were just talking about, like being there and seeing the set that Nick's brother Matt made, and
Yeah.
like just seeing the whole, like the balloons and the like having all the people come in, the lights and the colors, and like seeing Kind of Funny logos everywhere. It was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, this is bigger than I thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
and I was one of the ones that planned it. Like,
Yeah, it's easy for us to lose sight of what we do, right? And the way, and even when we get fan letters or we get packages or PO box mail, right? It's somebody telling you they like your content or whatever. But when it was like 400 people there who were in love with us, and the reaction when we yanked down the tarp to reveal the set, like that was fucking mind blowing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
the people want to see this stupid ass freaking castle we live in.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started talking about Kind of Funny Live, right, it was very easy for us to just kind of default to, look, what we really need to do is just get a bunch of people in a room and do the Game of Greggy show. And that would have been fine. That would have been fun. That would have been a cool event, and that would have been exactly what people were expecting. But somewhere along the line, I think it just became more fun to make a spectacle. It always is going to be.
Yeah.
And I think what we like to do, each and every one of us, is to try and take people's expectations of what, because I mean, there's a lot of people out there that would have been fine just coming out to support us. I'm sure people would have come out just to meet us all this way, but I think what's cool about what we tried to accomplish, and I think the heart of it, was that we wanted to create something that didn't just meet people's expectations but blew them out of the freaking water. And for me personally, is I like performing. I like the idea of a stage show. I like the idea of mounting a spectacle for people, because especially now, we're never gonna be able to do it again. Now the next year people are gonna be like, okay, these
They're gonna know
guys,
what's
these motherfuckers are crazy, right? Like, these guys are a little crazy. They're gonna do something fun, like that's gonna be cool, and we don't know what it's gonna be. It might not be the same thing as always, but I think that going in with zero expectations and letting people see what we wanted to do, I think was part of the thing that kept me going specifically.
Yeah.
All the way through the 2 tech rehearsals, load in, all that stuff, dealing with venues and stuff like that. But I loved it. It was fun. I mean, it felt like we were performing, which was cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. You know, like, I feel like specifically me and you come from a much more production angle than these guys. And, you know, for us, we've always been kind of about that, like, let's produce something. Whereas they've been way more just like, we're good at just being naturally
Do something.
doing stuff,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Right.
So it's like, for us to combine all those skills and kind of create a show around all 4 of our strengths was super fun and super crazy. And like, for me, the entire thing was, if I was going to go to this event, what would make me go, oh shit? And then it turned into, what would make me keep saying, oh shit?
Yeah, right.
And then it turned into, how can I keep me saying, oh shit, every 5 minutes?
Right.
Like, and we didn't want to create a 10-hour thing of just like boring people. It's like, let's focus on 3 hours
Mhm.
where every 5 minutes something happens that impresses you and excites you and like makes you wonder what's going to happen next, and like I think we did that, and that was really cool to see and talk to all the people and have them be like, whoa, this was crazy. And then to stay afterwards and like take pictures with all of them on the set,
Yeah.
like one by one, having them come up. And like something that I thought was really cool was after the show, like a couple days after, people are still using hashtag Kind of Funny Live, and we can look on Instagram and see all the hashtags and stuff. And I was with my girlfriend, and she was just like looking through all the pictures, and she's just like, you guys are doing a different pose in every single picture, and you guys look engaged in every single picture.
Sure.
And she's like, that's crazy. Like, you guys waiting and taking pictures with everybody, like that's super awesome. But you guys actually giving a fuck about each and every single person, that's what makes this whole thing special. And like when you say they're friends, she's like, the whole best friend thing, like that. I always thought it was cute, and I was like, but then I was like, oh shit, this is real. Like
Yeah.
they are best friends, and like that's what makes me most excited about all of this. Is every single person that was there felt the energy
Yep.
we
Yeah.
felt. They
Yeah.
felt like they were a part of it. And the coolest thing about that is I know that every single person there is going to come back next year,
Right.
and tell their friends, and it's going to be even bigger and better. We're going to get to do this for more people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was an electricity in the room, and that like you saw it. I was the guy who was doing all the community events with them, so I went to the movies with them on Friday. Obviously, the show on Saturday, and then out to this Off the Grid, which is like a picnic in the park on Sunday, right? And that connection everybody had with each other, and they took it to heart when I put in the welcome packet that if you're here alone, turn to your right or left, like you're with friends, you can talk to them. And they made those bonds, and they all went down, and there was like 2 or 3 different groups, like the Sean Pitts group, Nikki's group, like all these different groups roaming around San Francisco doing stuff, and they'd occasionally become one super group and then go off and do that. You know what I mean? Like they were all there together, and the way they reacted at the event and then afterwards even, but like at the event with the energy we're talking about, right? Like beforehand, like I'm at Tone Deaf, at rehearsal or whatever. Super cool dude. He knew a little bit about me. I knew a little bit about him, and that was it, right? And then at the end of the night, Saturday, after we were like, he was like the last guy to leave. He went to meet you guys as I was packing up our stuff to leave. And like there was that moment of like, now I knew what he does, and he knew what we do, and we both knew what this was today. And he pulled me aside and hugged me. He's like, this is gonna get so much better. Like, this is something special and different, right? Right? Like he wanted to make sure that I felt it. I'm like, yeah, no, I totally get what has happened and transpired here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we have made friends that we already knew we had, but now they all know each other and they all have a personal connection with us. And now they get to go out and go back to real life, but come back whenever they want to.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is like, we're talking about the live show, but we should actually maybe go through a recap of everything we did for the people that weren't there and maybe don't know. But
Well, we're going to put some of it up, right?
no, but I'm saying
We
like
have to
in
figure
this episode, we should probably
Sure.
recap what happened. But like we announced the Kind of Funny forums, and that's crazy because we're already seeing all those friendships that were made at the show. They've now continued into that forum
Right.
group, and now we're seeing all those people talk, and like
To-
it's great, man.
totally unexpected that kindoffunny.com/forums. There's people there that are like, I couldn't go, so I'm in Chicago. Let's do a meet and greet here. I'm in the UK. Like there's all these different threads about like,
Mhm.
all right, like even the Bay Area fans are like, hey, let's try to get this together monthly. And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, that was one of those things where like at the end, the venue, the nice people at Broadway Studios where we threw the event. There's another venue in that building which we didn't even realize, and she was like, "Hey, if you guys wanted to do like stuff, like smaller things, like we could work out a deal where maybe I can give you a smaller venue for free, and you can just bring people in and do meet and greets and stuff like that." And that's when it occurred to me. I was like, "Wow, that we could do that." Because my idea of like originally I was like, "Oh, we should do one of these live events quarterly," and I realized that would kill us.
Yeah.
Unless we had way more people helping out with them, which is a possibility as well. But just doing smaller meet and greets is always really fun too. I remember the one we did at PAX blew me away. I was like coming into that bar in Boston out of the cold and looking around and going, okay, I wonder where everyone is because the bar was packed, and then realizing that every single person in that bar was there to see us, and everyone's like, hey Nick, and I'm like, oh shit, you guys are wow, okay. But I want to say the one crazy thing was that like it didn't feel like we were doing a performance for a group of strangers.
Oh no,
Like
no.
when every time we saw or anyone shouted something out, it prior to the event, we had a bunch of our close friends or ex-coworkers from IGN come and hang out, right? Like Ty Root showed up at 6 o'clock. He had to run Beta Breakers the next morning, but he's like, I want to come. Can I come at 6, just say what's up, see the thing, and just support you guys for a few minutes? And Oransky came, and Finnegan came, and Mike P came. And then everyone else started funneling in. And the difference between those guys that I had known for 9 years and worked closely to, and the new people that were coming in that I had never met before, there was no difference in feeling talking
Yeah.
to those people.
Yeah.
That's what was really, really cool, especially afterward, where everyone was kind enough to wait in line for like 2 hours for just to kind of hang out and say thanks or say what's up to us for 5 seconds and get a picture. None of those people felt like strangers. None of them.
Yeah.
Everyone felt like people that I just had not met yet, but that we had been talking to forever, which I
Mhm.
thought was really, really, really cool. And everyone, we just have some of the best friends on the freaking planet out there. Like everyone was so accommodating. It almost felt like they were there for us, not the other way around.
Uh-huh.
And that's what was really, really cool. Where it was like every time someone came out, I can't tell you how many people are like, "Do you want a drink? Do you want something? Like,
Oh,
can I
yeah.
help out
Oh,
with something?
yeah.
Can I put chairs away?" And I'm like, "No, the guys, this is our thank you to you
Yeah.
for all the crazy stuff that you guys have allowed us to do over the years."
They're just so nice. Like all of them are so nice. And that was
know.
something like my
blessed,
friends were
man.
kind of running the merch table, and all of them were like, this doesn't make sense. Like we didn't have that much merch to sell because we
Didn't know.
yeah, we just didn't know. We thought that like we would be prepared for you guys, but man, you guys wanted stuff way more than we thought. But there was guys that were just like, "Oh man, I'm a large. You only have this in small. I'll take it. I'll go on a diet." And it's just like, really? It's just like, yeah, whatever. Like I want to support it. And then there was like people that were just like, oh, here's $30. It's like, oh, the shirt's 25. Oh, I don't care. And they just walked
Yeah.
away. And it's like, what? And like
And
these
they
are
pocketed
people.
all that money.
These are people that have done retail before, so like they know they're like, dude, customers are usually fucking assholes about stuff. And
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah.
we just got such a good group of people that just
do.
want to be part of this, and they are part of it. Like everyone in that room was part of the show.
And that was cool. I was telling you guys earlier when we were kind of doing a little bit of a talk about it before the show that I was like, I think one of the most fun moments for me was when we had to take a unscheduled 10-minute break so someone could go move their
One
car.
guy parked on Broadway.
And great hat that guy was wearing though, and we ended up just standing up there with one mic talking to the audience. That was super fun.
Yeah,
Because that was when there was no pressure. I was like, oh, we can just be us. Like the presidential debate that we did, I got really nervous because I was like, this is scripted. We had to do 2 rehearsals on this, and like a lot of the comedy relies on the timing of it. But then everything else after that was awesome.
Colin?
Yeah, I mean, a few things. I think my nerves weren't bad. Like I I used to get really nervous before every hockey game I played, especially because I felt like you're the goalie and people are kind of paying attention to you. The goalie. Well, my Ducks 2 reference. So I used to get like really nervous and really worked up, and then when I felt I always just say like when I felt the puck for the first time, I felt fine. So like if I made a save or whatever, like just like even a simple save, you feel the puck, you feel good. You know.
Yeah.
If you let up that first shot, it's really bad. And that happens every once in a while. But so like I never had that moment. I felt pretty comfortable immediately. And I was a drummer in a band that was making its bones around Long Island for several years, and we played some big shows. I played before 300, 400, 500 people. But we were always the opening act, and that was when I was like really nervous because like these people aren't here for us,
Right.
like. And we would change minds by the way we played, and people liked us, whatever. But that was when I used to get really nervous. So I was trying to harken back to like in my mind, like what are these touchstones in my life where I can prepare for this moment? And the reality was, there really were none because this wasn't like playing hockey. This wasn't like playing drums in a band, especially being behind a bunch of cymbals and no one can see you, and it was great. So I felt good from the get go. And I think that people really did have an authentically good time. And I think that one of the things that was important for me to at least communicate to you two, and that's why I wrote you guys an email and Kevin, was that I think Greg and I get the lion's share of the compliments about what we do because we're just the front facing and I guess most known people on this, and as an entity of this channel. And I was like, that's happening less and less now, thankfully, because people are starting to see that the input that we all put in. It's like when you write for a website and like we used to, and it's like, well, we're the ones getting all the accolades, even though an engineer made this, and computer, designer designed this, and all these kinds of things. They don't get any credit for that. It really was a show that you guys did, and what kind of showed up to, and we don't have the expertise to even help. So it was a matter of like, I was impressed watching you guys work. I was especially impressed with Tim's kind of go-gettedness of doing more and more and more, and watching Nick work. I thought was really fun because like we just don't come from this world,
100%.
Greg and I.
Yeah.
And
I told everybody on Friday, I was like, when you get there, thank Nick and Tim.
yeah,
Like, they're the ones who made this what it is. Colin and I would have fucking sat at a card table and talked to you and then come off stage and drink.
yeah. I mean that's what we did, and Kevin too, of course, did a great job, and that's what. That's the thing and that was the difference. It's like Podcast Beyond 200 was fun and Podcast Beyond 300 was fun. This shat all over, like all over what we used to do and what we used to think was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
You
the
know,
guy
and
who
that's just-
planned
and
both
that's
those
just-
events. That's not a knock at IGN. That's a knock, not even a knock. It's just that
Yeah.
I planned a completely different thing. I
Right.
planned, the first time we're gonna podcast in front of a room. The second time we're gonna podcast in a room full of people, and Life in 24 Frames and Troy Baker are gonna perform.
Oh no, it's not an insult to you either. It's just
no,
to say
I
like
wanted to
we
make
both,
sure the audience understood that we
no, no.
weren't saying.
No, it just shat all over it.
Right.
Like I was one of the stars of both of those shows, and I'm telling you, like it was like a whole nother level. It was a whole nother level of engagement. It was a whole nother level of production. It was a whole nother level of fan interaction. And I think one of the things that we haven't talked about yet, you touched on the forums, is we announced 8 different things that night too. So it wasn't only watch us perform, watch us do the presidential debate, the silly presidential debate that I thought was silly, and I didn't know how I was going to play, and I played much better than I thought it was. And then we did Game Over Greggy show and all that stuff. But we announced the forums and the app. We announced several new shows and new T-shirts and women's sizes for T-shirts and all of these, Colin and Greg Live on Patreon now and all those kinds of things. So there was like a little bit for everyone. It was what I was saying before when we were sitting around the kitchen table. I always used to get mad when people would say, Sony's press conferences are too long, and I'm like, I like them. They're awesome because they just keep announcing shit, and I care about it. And so like that. I think that we were able to hit those notes, and I thought that was very successful. I think that the overall, the word I'd use to describe the entire night in terms of our business is vindicating, because I feel vindicated. We have built this audience, this hardcore small group of intimate, relations that we have, I don't mean that, of course, in a dirty way. And
Open
they
stuff
care
up the
about us, and they
buttholes.
care about each other, and they care about each other's well-being, and they want to meet each other. And that's one of the things I said on stage, which was like, this was fun, and I'm glad I got to meet people and see people again, for the second or third time. But really, the interaction with everyone else was what was essential and what was key. And I think, this is real. And I said it on stage. I'm like, I think that this is just the very beginning for this company and this organization. And we're nervous, and we're kind of throwing things out there and seeing what works and what doesn't. Some things work, some things don't. But like, this worked, and we will do it again. I know a lot of people have been asking, like, will we do it again, and will we do it other places? Yes,
100%.
And I think that we have to figure out, the financial realities of those kinds of things. Because we don't want to lose money, obviously, and we didn't lose money on this. But I want to go to New York. A lot of people are asking us to go to London. London and Toronto are just as requested as New York and Chicago and LA. And like, those are things we were paying attention to, and we have to figure those things out. I don't know if it's realistic, but we're listening and we're hearing you guys. We had a great time. The interaction on YouTube is one thing. The interaction on Twitter and Facebook are another thing, and the forums, of course. But being able to be with you guys in person was very important.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. And first off, thank you for that nice email, because that did mean a lot. And I'm sorry we didn't respond to that, but I was sleeping most of the day on late Sunday and early Monday. But yeah, that was one of the crazier things when I started looking at, like, paying attention to Twitter, because I kind of went into a cave for a while, and then right around Saturday morning, when everything was kind of coming together after that rehearsal, I started looking at that hashtag and realizing that like 90% of the people that came into town didn't even need us.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, we're having a blast without you guys.
Yeah.
And like, we're gonna happy to see you later, but like, we've been having a blast since Thursday night when we all got in.
And that was the funny thing. I think a lot of them didn't realize at the time, right? Is that they were running around the city for days, nearly a week with each other, having such fun, thinking that the big thing was getting to be with us on Saturday, right? When in reality, it was just the fact that they got to be with each other and have this awesome vacation together. You know what I mean? Like, Friday and Sunday were so great just to be with these people and hang out. You know what I mean? And like, Sunday, we hung out in the park for like 5 hours, just laying there eating fried chicken, all talking,
That's
sitting
awesome.
around, you know what I mean? Drinking and hanging out and just talking. And it was like one of those things, it was a huge group that came. We had many looks at Off the Grid as to why there were 50 to 75 people together on this lawn. But it's like, I did my best to make my way around to talk to everybody, try to touch everybody, to say, hey, what's up? But even that meant that you got 30, 45 minutes with me before I went to the next group to do something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they were with each other. They
Yeah.
were they were leaning on each other, and they all had a great time, it seemed.
But that's the goal, right? And it's so cool when you talk about the forums, where the forums were one of those things that we've been working on for a while and that everyone had requested. And then finally I got the opportunity to experience our community on the forums for the first time, not as a person that's like, oh, all the hard work that went into making these things reality. Not by me, by James, by the way. And huge shout out to James Schuler for
Super genius,
making
James
that all happen. He's a badass. We are in his debt. But then the Mad Men season finale happened, and my wife immediately went to bed because she was like, "Oh, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta go to bed." I was like, "But I want to talk to someone about this."
Ah, it's all right.
And then I was like, I wonder if there is a thread on this on our forums. And sure enough, there was. And I jumped on and I started going back and forth, and people were like responding to mine, and so that was. And then within like an hour of just kind of checking back in, there was a nice conversation going on about it. And I was like, oh, this is really, really fun. So then 2 hours later, I'm posting on like there's a great thread about what's the last thing, what are you watching? What's the last movie you saw? Fury Road. And 80 people are talking about Fury Road, and we're going in there about it. And I'm like, we have a really fun group of people to interact with on any given occasion.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's
just
awesome.
It's just cool.
It is cool.
And no one was like, Nick's posting. They were just like, Nick, you're crazy. Like, this is this, or this is this. It doesn't. I don't feel like an outsider or anything that's any far removed from this. I
It's
feel
when
like
you
I'm
get
just
in
part of it.
that fucking forum and you're like, all right, and it says like, or I'll post it, it's like, Greg's posted 8 times, and then you look at somebody else, they have 116. I'm like,
Yeah,
how
like,
you already posted 100?
What's going on? That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the community too, is that there should be no surprise that we would interact directly with you. I hope that we've removed that facade and that veil, because that's what this is all about. We are not, a few people real heartfelt said to me when we were shaking hands, and I was at the end, so like there was 4 of us standing, and people would kind of go to the end, and then they would walk away, and I was because I was at the end, and people were kind of like walking away. A few times I got distracted because they would talk to me last, and they'd be like, someone said to me, he's like, no one would do this. No one would stand here for 2 hours and shake hands and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, he's like, I'm glad you guys haven't gotten too big for this yet. And I'm like, we're never gonna get too big for this.
Yeah.
Like, there's always gonna be. I don't want to get too big. I don't like. That's not what I want. I do not want to be too big. Like, I want to have this. I want to be able to sustain our lives and grow, but I don't want to become too big. Growth and too big are two different things.
Right.
And I don't want to ever be too big where I can't wade into a crowd of people and have fun with them.
We don't want to
enjoy
plan
it.
events for 10,000 people where we can't possibly take a photo with everybody. We're in plan events where we can fucking have a touch on everybody.
Yeah, it's the the intimacy that we share with each other that I think is special, and so we would never get that big. And I think but people understand that. So when we post in the forum, it isn't a big deal because we're not gracing you with our presence. You're gracing us with yours, and like I think that was kind of the thing we tried to parlay to people at this particular event. And I think. I give them a lot of credit too, and I want to give a special shout out, as we talked before, to Sean Pitts, because I just think that
Pitts. It's fine.
Here's the thing: we all got our jobs through some sort of passion, and I can only speak for myself, where I just made myself known and seen, and eventually it paid off. And man, like Sean Pitts is doing everything right, and I think that
Setting up
Passion's
hotel
amazing.
rooms, setting up meet and greets, setting up like getting people cabs,
Picking
from
up people from the
airport
airport,
in the middle
I
of the
know.
night. Yeah.
we noticed these things, and I told him, because I'm weird, like I'm a recluse, and like I don't hang out that much, and I'm like the Edgar Allan Poe of the internet or something like that. So like the so
fucking
I didn't even know Edgar Allan
awesome.
Poe was a recluse, but there you go.
yeah, he was like one of the weirdest motherfuckers of all time. So
That's funny.
so I wasn't quite aware. I knew he was one of the movers and shakers in our community, but I didn't realize, through my own ignorance, that just what he meant to everyone else and how people wanted to take pictures with him and get him to sign things and do all these things and just talk to him and stuff like that. And I told him twice that night, I'm like, I remember this, and I will remember this, and I will note this, if and when the time comes that we expand, because you have made yourself known, my friend. Like, you have made yourself seen, loud and clear, and I think that's, whether or not it pays off in the end, I don't know, but all I know is it reminds me of my own journey. And I think that, it's awesome. It's just nice to see, and there's so many people. It's not to undercut anyone else, because there's so many people.
There's
that
so
are
many people that did
so many people
things. Like
yeah.
there was people, members of the Facebook group, that were like posting, like they took a lot of really nice pictures. And Mayumi was her name. Yeah. She posted a bunch of pictures, and they're beautiful. And it's just like she was engaging with people, like, because people weren't there. There was only 450 people there, which meant that there's billions of people that weren't. So it's like for them to be able to experience like that through just looking at the pictures or seeing all these like fan videos, like that's the thing. If you guys have videos of this show, and you guys let me know if this is not right, but like,
That's right.
post them to YouTube.
Yeah.
Post them, share them, like do whatever you want. We just want the word to get out there of how much fun everyone had at this thing.
If you're listening to this on Friday, thank you for being a Patreon subscriber. We'll have our video stuff up on Monday. That's the plan?
Monday is the plan.
Okay. Of
Which
the
so
HD, high
by the
quality
time this
HD.
goes up,
Theoretically, by the
breakout,
time this
yeah.
is on YouTube,
we'll
as
see.
a breakout, you'll see it.
But like next week, we are going to start uploading all the videos of the live show. Everything we can put up. There's some things we can't, but
Also, as a general just note, The forums obviously will be a thing that are evolving. They're going to
Yes.
evolve. We are listening to everyone's feedback. We're on the forums. We're reading. We know we need mods. We know we need. I'm sure by this time, the time you guys are hearing this, we have a call with James. We're going to figure all this stuff out. But we hear you guys. We're figuring it out.
Mhm.
We're going to be on top of it, and we're going to make the forums into something bigger and better every day.
But going back to the live show real quick, man, how cool is it to be in a room with people from everywhere?
Yeah.
From just all over America, people from Canada. I don't know if we had any other international people.
England.
There was some English people?
Yeah.
Did not know that. See, there you go. We're fucking worldwide.
We are worldwide.
And that's awesome. But it's like there were so many people that were not from California at all.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I
But
liked that.
even having said that, there's people that aren't from San Francisco, and like people think like, oh, LA and SF are close. I mean, they're not.
6-hour
Oh,
drive.
my
Yeah.
brother met a bunch of people from Orange County, and he was like, "Hey, if you guys are like," they told him they're like, "We might do an Orange County meet and greet," and he's like, "I'll go."
That's fucking awesome. But it's like that's the thing is I feel like there's a lot of people that might have seen us announce this show and just been like, oh, I wish they were coming to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like I think that this is going to be a big eye-opening thing to them. They're like, oh, I guess I could have came there and I would have
Yeah.
had friends to be with and
Mhm.
things to do and it could have made a vacation out of it. And like, because I remember for me, like going to New York and seeing all the Tone Deaf shows, like it took a while. There was like 2 of them I didn't go to because I was like, oh, I mean, that's so far and whatever. But then I was like, oh, there's people flying from LA and there's people flying from Australia and all
Right,
this like
right,
crazy stuff. It's like I should do that too. I'm one of them.
That
Like,
was the
I'm
point
part
we
of the
kept trying to
community.
make on Colin and Greg Live leading up to it, where they're like, well, why isn't it being live streamed? You know what I mean? Or why isn't it going here? And it's like, well, we're learning how to do this, number one. But number two is we want people to walk away from this understanding the
Mhm.
difference between Kind of Funny Live and Kind of Funny is doing a podcast at MomoCon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
there's
that's
a stark difference that when next time we say Kind of Funny Live is happening here, you fucking make a point to be there.
Yeah, I
It's
think
worth
that. Yeah, I think that's. It's safe to say we will never stream. We would never stream something like that, even if it was like a big thing. Because we, it's the example I use. When did I even say this? I think it was on Colin and Greg where I was like, I love 311, right?
Mhm.
And this is the great example I could use. And I think it's a very pertinent and salient example. Is like I love 311. When they tour, I start searching YouTube for videos.
Mhm.
And I don't expect that I'm going to find the 1080p soundboard quality recording of them
Right.
playing Sever. I'm going to find some dude in the front row holding his iPhone getting 30 seconds of it. And that's about as good as it's going to get because I wasn't there. You know what I mean? And I don't expect that I'm going to have the same quality experience
Sure.
of not being there as it being there because it's just not realistic. So
Right.
it's a similar thing where it's like, then I think I'm like, man, I really got to go see 311. You know, like,
Yeah.
and then I go and I'm like, oh, okay, now I can see this in person and it's exactly what I wanted it to be. And it's not that YouTube video anymore. It's so there's a difference. Real quick before we get off this topic, because we're getting obviously a little bit long in the tooth on this one, is Matt Scarpino. Now, a bravo to Matt Scarpino because Matt Scarpino, of course, you can follow him at Scarpino Man on Twitter. Really great guy. We've met him before. Obviously, we know him. He's your brother. We love him very much. I just want to compliment him for what I would feel like is an artful, and I'm being totally serious, an artful melding of humor and seriousness, of professionalism and knowledge, but also levity, you know? And I think that I learned a lot watching him. I think he taught Kevin a lot, which I think is very important for this business. And I can't wait to work with him again. And I gave him one of my bottles of bourbon to show my appreciation to him because he's a really, really, really good dude. And I really like him. You know?
Matt's one of those guys that I am who I am because of him. Like he taught me early on that you can have fun while you're working as long as you're getting shit done. And I don't mean like getting things done like you're making sure everything that you're supposed to do gets done. I mean get shit done. Like since college has been a scenic artist and scenic designer, and he runs his own company, Sets Unlimited, down in Orange County. But he does so much more than that. In that we talk a lot too, because he's like, I want to expand what I do. I want to get into more bigger events. And basically, he's a producer that can go into any situation, really, from TV to stage to now new media, and just really thrive and get. Like, take the idea of 4 crazy people and make sure it gets fully realized to a place where it's well beyond what I thought we could have accomplished beyond. And that's just his strength. And also just, as a huge shout out to him, he did all this for basically at cost or for free. Like I covered his raw materials and some of his labor for the people that he needed to pay. But for the most part, he did about 2 weeks of work for me for nothing, just because A, he loves us, loves me specifically, but obviously he loves you guys. He's a huge fan. And B, he just likes to be a part of crazy shit like this. Like, and that speaks to someone's character too. Because I don't know. I'd like to think I would do that. But I'm very selfish, and I get very absorbed in our work, and I very seldom put myself out there to just for a purely selfless thing. Like I'm never selfless. I'm very, very selfish. And, I love what we do here and I pour so much effort into this. But like, I can't remember the last time I put that much effort into something just for the sheer sake of having fun and helping someone else out. And like, that's very defining of someone's character that they would do that. And it's crazy to me that he came up and did all that. And he basically called our show. And so he's doing all sorts of other crazy stuff. And I can't wait to see how much more we can, work with him and collaborate with him on this, as well as what he's going to do in the future with all his other ventures, because he's just thriving and he's going to continue to be a badass.
Yeah, and I think that, he deserves a lot of credit for that. And it reminds me of like what we're doing with, which we'll see more of soon with Kind of Funny, the animated series, where, my own brother's helping us out with that too. And when I saw what we were paying him, I was like, I'm like, that's fine with me if that's fine with him. But I talked to him, I'm like, are you I know you make, like, are you sure this is good? And he's just doing it because he wants to.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with your brother. They like participating in this. And I think that we all benefit from that.
Definitely.
And then, down the road, hopefully we can pay Matt back and we can pay Dagan back. If we get an animated series, we do a series of live shows, then we're gonna pay it forward for him, and we're gonna pay it forward for Dagan. So
I mean, that's the onus is on us for that too. Yeah, right? It's not like I don't think either of our brothers are doing this as an investment. They're not. Like my brother's not. He's just crazy. He's not looking at this going like, all right, this is gonna pay off 2 years for me in this way. He's just like, this is fun. This is a great thing, and karma will reward, because when you put that much positive energy into something, the world rewards you. It does. I don't know how. No one knows. It's one of those mystical things. But somehow, some way, because all of us, including the people that came to the show, put that much positive energy into it, it will grow, and it'll grow into an amazingly gigantic beast, like a colossus that you're not going to have to climb to destroy. You're just going to have to climb to kind of hang out with, which would be fun and get from place to place. Okay, you guys, I can hear it in my own voice how tired I am. We all sound like this. But yeah, I mean, like,
I sound fucking awesome.
You do. You got the 5 o'clock shadow, which means
Like
I know that you haven't
since Kind of Funny Live, and I won't shave again to the next Kind of Funny Live.
grow that beard.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
I do hope. I do want to do it again though. As crazy as it is, one of those shows where like there's like almost a depression afterward. Where you're like,
Oh, sure,
I put
yeah.
so
Yeah.
much energy
Yeah.
into it, and now I'm like, I really do wonder what we could do next.
Dude, I'm
year.
calling it right now. We're gonna do it again next year.
Oh, yeah.
This is gonna be an annual thing. Again, I'm not confirming this. I'm just saying, like, if everything I want to do goes to plan, we're gonna make it an annual thing. I do not think it will be called Kind of Funny Live next year. I think it's gonna be something bigger.
Kind of Funny Mania.
Kind of Funny Con, Kind of Funny Expo, Kind of Funny Who knows?
Expo means something different.
We can't call it Kind of Funny Con
Why?
because there's already a KFC, and he's the Colonel. Okay, Tim. You can't screw with the Colonel.
I don't know, man.
But we can't call it an
is-
expo. We
Yeah,
can't.
whatever.
We
it
could call
is.
it Con. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
We'd
but
have to
whatever
call
it
it
is,
Taco Bell
like,
KFC.
I want to make it something bigger, and I want which is crazy to say, but like
No, I do too. I mean, when we talked about this, we talked about inviting our friends, like all of our indie dev friends, to come and have their games there. And that just became an unfortunate. That kind of fell by the wayside just because we're only 4 people planning this thing. But I would love to start outreach for it earlier and try to get people on board. Like that whole back room could have just been games that people could just sit there and play. And there's all sorts of
WWF No Mercy was there.
and people played it.
Yeah, I did. That's how I ended my night. I want you to know that I went in there against a great fan named Cameron who had bought a Lucha Libre mask in
Saw
San
him.
Francisco for that. And we went in there, and for the record, I beat the living fuck out of this guy. Holy shit, did it feel good? Because I was like, I'm gonna go in there and be exhausted.
Yeah.
And not to mention that every time I play No Mercy, I'm never like I was back in
Yeah.
high school when I played No Mercy. And I was the Rock in a hardcore match. He was Kane. And I just beat the shit out of him. And then it was both awesome and not so awesome is that as The Rock, to finish it, I did the people's elbow, ran off with my special, and then came up to the body. And I don't remember this, but I guess when you get back to the body, you have to hit B or something to drop the actual elbow. So I just ran around the ring, came back to him, and then just stood over him. And then I just laid on top of him and pinned him and still beat him. And I was like, how embarrassing is that, Cameron? You don't even need to get hit with the people's elbow to lose. Kane sucks.
That's
And then
fucking
he left
awesome.
the building and they turned off the lights.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Before we move on real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Tone Deaf, who is one of my greatest role models in my life. And I can't believe he flew out from New York City to
was
perform
awesome.
at Kind of Funny Live. And that was a crazy moment for me for so many reasons. But specifically that I was a little worried because I was like, Tone Deaf is a very technical rapper. And he's performing in front of a group of people that aren't necessarily into rap music.
Yeah.
And it's like me and him talked and we tailored the set to have he did 4 songs and each one had a very specific thing. He made a custom song about us,
Yeah.
which we'll release. And that's fucking crazy for you guys to delve in and actually see what he's saying. Then when he did a song called Pervert, that's like a comedy song, and I'm like, that totally up the alley of our people. That'll
Yeah.
be great. Then he did one that's just showing off how fast he can rap, which is like a cool party trick. And then he ended with this one where it's like a mosh pit song where everyone gets down and jumps up and goes
Yeah.
crazy. And it's like, I was like, if people buy into this, they're going to have a lot of fun. I'm worried they're not going to, but if they do, it's going to be great. And then the moment that he got on stage and like he just had the stage presence that he
He was
has,
like, get the fuck out.
and just like as entertaining as he was, every single person in the building was just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll get into this and I'll try. And my God, being on the balcony and seeing everyone jumping up and down to
Yeah,
Tone Deaf,
yeah.
I was like, they did it. Thank you guys for supporting things I support. Like, that was an unreal thing where it's just like these people are amazing and they all just want to exude positivity. And
Sure.
thank you all for that. Thank you, Tone Deaf, for coming out. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks to Troy Baker also. For
Yeah, I was
making
gonna
that
say this is a dangerous slope to go down because
Yeah.
I don't want to forget anybody. There is a credits that I'm assuming we're releasing as
We
a
are releasing the
standalone
credits,
video.
yes.
So yeah, thanks Troy for moderating the debate. Thanks Dave for narrating everything.
Yes.
Dave Fenoy, DaveFenoy.com,
Yes.
narrating the front. Yeah, and I we should cap it there because we
Yep.
will start and forget somebody and do all these different things. Thanks to family and friends and all that jazz. and
Fredo,
everything. I
Portillo.
said stop.
I'm just saying.
We're not thanking
Oh,
Alfredo.
man. Well, fuck you, Alfredo.
Fuck you,
Skinny
Alfredo.
little bastard.
Playing over your games over on that Twitch. Alfredo plays. Everyone should subscribe. I'll say something about that. It was a great event. We had a great time. Colin.
Wait, I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, bathroom break.
Pee-pee break.